What it is, y'all? It is your old boy Pilk, and I'm coming back at you today with more Danmachi. Now, today we're going to be talking about Boss 1-3. Now, I know 1-4 is going to be dropping literally here in like a couple of minutes as of me recording this, but we haven't talked about 1-3 yet, and we'll talk about 1-4 in the morning. So, basically for 1-3, the main thing you want to know is one of the units, the Leafia unit, she's actually going to decrease the amount of debuffs on the enemy team. So the main thing we want to do here is we don't want to focus on debuffing. We want to buff our team as much as humanly possible. We will still debuff, and we'll try to keep ahead of the game there because she's going to remove, basically as Haruhime increases buffs by 2 turns, she's going to remove them by 2 turns. Kind of like the Winter Haruhime does. So the main thing is we just got to keep ahead of that game. Lily will actually reduce buffs by 2, but we're going to counteract that in a really interesting way. Now, if I'm honest here, they don't actually do it every turn like we do. The auto system isn't quite that intelligent, so it's not as daunting as it sounds, but I'm going to approach this as if that were the case, because it could be. You never know. Randomly it could decide to just do that. I think it's on a pattern, if I'm honest, but we're going to approach it as such. Now, obviously we've got Haruhime. I've actually put Galamus on the team for the first time in a long time. Galamus is going to basically put up a big guard against both single target and AoE attacks. Line is on the team, and she's actually on the team to stay. Mainly because when she counters, she increases buffs. So while the Lily opponent can remove turns on buffs, she can't outpace the combination of Haruhime and Line. So that makes Line a huge asset for the first time, if ever. So that's one thing. We are going to be using Anya as our main hitter. You'll notice that I actually have MLB units on here. I know you guys hate that, but the main takeaway from this is, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and swap. You know what? I'm going to leave Hermes. Hermes is free to play, so it doesn't really matter. He's on Line. He'll be fine. I am using the MLB to Artemis. You don't need Artemis MLB to really make her work, but it helps. Artemis is going to be attached to Anya just so we get that little bit of extra damage. Galamus actually has a Sword Maiden attached to him. And the main reason I have that is because while they'll remove or take away a couple turns per debuffs, they can't affect assists. So all the assists we can debuff with, those will stay put. So you'll notice that I have Sword Maiden there to remove strength and magic. You can do whatever you want in that regard. Oh my goodness, I can't recollect off the top of my head. I believe they're both magic units, but let me check here real quickly. Let's see. Leafia is, well, okay. So Lily is a magic unit, and Leafia should be a magic unit. She's almost always, magic. So both are magic units, so you really don't need to reduce strength. You could reduce magic specifically. I've just opted for both to be basically for safety's sake. Now, that said, Galamus and Sword Maiden are going to swap out. So in will come this Lily. Now, this Lily is designed on this team here to increase the guard rate. And the Anya that's actually attached to her will reduce physical resistance, allowing my other Anya to come in here and do a little bit more damage. Finally, once Lily leaves, I have the 100% SA gauge charge Tione. Now, Tione is max limit broken, but that's not going to make a difference. You don't actually need her max limit broken for this to work. You just kind of need her SA gauge charge. So, let's go ahead and jump in here. First things first, I am going to debuff with the Haruhime because we're going to try to keep those buffs in place. I am going to go ahead and do the defense buff with Galamus. And I'm going to do 33% SA gauge charge. It'll be fine. And we're going to buff with Anya. Okay? And the main thing is here, we get hit not terribly hard once we have those debuffs in place. But on this turn, we need to make sure we're replicating those debuffs as much as humanly possible. I am going to focus on taking Leafia out first, because frankly, with the buffs being replicated like several times over by both Haruhime and Line, I'm not really worried about us running out of that. I'm not worried about Line overpowering us. Or I'm sorry, Lily overpowering us. Plus, Lily already has a natural 40% deficiency when it comes to light. And my team is mostly light. I designed it this way because if you'll notice, Thunder is up 40%, Earth is up 40% for her, and Fire is down 20%, and which one's down 20%? Wind is down 40%. When it comes to Lily, she's neutral across the board except for light. Now, we can always debuff light quite a bit, and we will debuff light quite a bit. So, really, light made the natural choice for me. Plus, Anya being my main hitter, she'll remove strength and magic buffs. Since we can't debuff them very much, when they buff, we've got to remove those. That is going to be absolutely paramount to surviving this. So we're going to go ahead and do Nimble Fighter, get our debuffs in place, go ahead and do Yosuga with Haruhime. We're going to do the guard rate and counter rate buff that comes with this Lily. And then with Line, I'm actually going to do her single target attack. It really doesn't matter. She's not going to do that much for us. But that's the direction I've decided to go with this. Bam. All right, so pretty heavy hits there, but we're not really worried about it. No one's really croaking anytime soon. So I'm going to go and do the 100% SA gauge charge for Tione. We're going to continue doing Yosuga, Galing Force, and I'm going to switch over to Shinobi Strike. This is the main single target attack with Anya. And the one big thing to remember here with Anya, single target attacks in situations like this tend to be some of the most effective because when you SA, you're actually going to hit slightly harder in most circumstances than you will with an AoE. Now, you could do this with an AoE. I just find it slightly more effective with single targets, at least in the teams that I've built. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and continue doing my buffs. You should notice here that we are already buffed like absolute crazy. And the debuffs may or may not start falling off. Well, actually, the debuffs are still in place, so that's good. But remember, once she starts taking chunks out of that, it's going to drop fast. So this is absolutely necessary to make sure that we're doing Yosuga as much as possible to keep all of those debuffs in place. All right. So turn 6, we'll do a double SA. I'm going to go ahead and do Heavenly Blow. Now, Heavenly Blow does decrease light damage by 25%, but it doesn't matter. It's already reduced by 30%, so we're going to be good to go there. Okay, so once again, Yosuga, Glaring Force, Shinobi Strike. Bam. Now, the interesting part is next turn, we're going to do a double SA with Haruhime and Anya. And this is where if Leafia starts to remove those debuffs, it's not going to feel good. So that's the main reason we were building it up as much as we were. You just don't want to run out of that, simply put. All right. Go, girl. You got it. So now we have the 100% SA gauge charge. That is, or I'm sorry, an SA gauge charge. I'm sorry. We have the 100% strength and magic buff. So now we'll be able to do slightly more damage. Anya is obviously going to hit pretty hard here. We're hoping for north of 1 million. Ah, not quite what I wanted. Not quite what I wanted. But they're wearing down quickly. They're wearing down quickly. All right. So the answer is pretty much like my Anya is only +4 as well, and I haven't ascended her weapon. So I can only expect so much, but I was really hoping for north of 1 million. But once again, to be fair, we didn't actually debuff as much as we could have. So the numbers aren't quite going to be there. That said, unless you've got a unit that you know can do AoE attacks for, 450 to 500,000, it's probably better to do a single target. If Anya was the max limit broken, she would have easily broken 1 mil there. All right. So we're going to once again do Yosuga. I'm going to do Glaring Force, Shinobi Strike, and Heavenly Blow. And Leafia should be gone in just a moment. Now, obviously, if I had an AoE that I trusted that would be able to do damage up to 500k, i.e. if you have the new Finn max limit broken. He would be the best choice for this. Well, once again, you don't even have to do light. You just have to choose one of the ailments that Leafia or that Leafia is either neutral or weak to, and you'll be good to go. I just chose light because once Leafia is gone, then Anya falls pretty quickly. Lily falls pretty quickly. Big mistake to make there. All right, so once again, Shinobi Strike, and we're going to do Sheikah with Haruhime to rebuild some of this, rebuild some of her MP. All right, get it, girl. What are you going to do this time? Bam, she did. Perfect. Now, they do have about 2.8 mil damage each. So, like I said, it does take to turn 8 to kill her on that one. But we're going to go ahead and do Shinobi Strike again, Yosuga, and we're not worried about debuffs falling off now. So, I can go ahead and... Actually, I have to do Yosuga again because we do have one debuff that is down to turn 1. We don't want those debuffs to fall off, so... Alright. We'll do Sheikah again, and... We'll do SA gauge, or SA with... with Anya. Now, we have an extra 10% off here. So, let's see what that gives us. I'm sorry, an extra 40% off that we didn't have. So, what? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Whatever. That's fine. That is all right. We'll go ahead and do that. That... Because once again, you'll see that light attribute resist and magic resist both have dropped quite a bit. In fact, that says light attribute resist. That should be down 30%, but it's not. Because you know why? I didn't reduce it here. That was a big mistake. Sometimes paying attention helps, doesn't it? Now this SA should hit like an absolute truck. Bam, bam. And she's dead now too. So that is kind of the key. We don't have too much of a problem with them doing the buff removal and debuff removal like we thought. But it is a good idea to plan around that. There we go. That was almost a mil right there. Nice. Very nice. Had I debuffed properly there, we would have been good to go. I just forgot to because I'm so used to dealing with Leafia. So... Good times that. The long and the short of it is, make sure you give yourselves a lot of buff type resistance. Like I used that Lily for guard rate, Galamus for the 1 unit and single target resistance. Haruhime still does her 40%, but I just wasn't confident that would stay. And the main thing is Line. If you have this Line over here, she will actually buff. She'll buff your buffs. She'll basically give your buffs an extra turn every time she counters. So, and that's a lot. It's a lot on this team because once again, Lily buffs counter rate. So, and Tione coming in at the end just to increase the SA gauge charge basically means we do SAs faster. Once again, her max limit broken status isn't really affecting her aside from her survivability, which just means you'd probably want a better assist on her. So hopefully this helps you out on this. You don't have to do a light team, though. Like I said, I've done it with a fire team. It's just as viable. I believe Earth was the other one, but I'm going to be real. My Earth team's kind of crap. So doing it with light is perfectly viable. Fire would be even better. Fire was the one that I S-cleared it with. If you want to know the parameters to S-clear, it is 9 turns without losing a member. So this team wasn't doing it. But we did it with Argo, Krazo, and Katori, and they just ravaged it. So if you have those 3 max limit broken, you can kill this in a matter of minutes. Those are the hints, those are the tips, those are the tricks, guys. Like, comment. I will be back with you guys with more Danmachi in the morning. We'll talk about 10-4, and once again, I want to sincerely thank you for your patronage today. Have yourselves a great one, and take care of yourselves and everyone else. I sincerely mean that.